Okay.
All right. So first question, how are women both angels and fallen women in these poems?
Well, I think that she's fallen woman because she gave into temptation in the Goblin market, and then in so she was like she fell away from like the innocence that a normal woman should have had at like in society during that time. And then I think that she's like an angel because that's what she is. Uh, like she's like talking from heaven. Uh,
Well, yeah, and the blessed damsel, I mean, that's basically the perspective that it gives for the woman, right? Is that she's died and gone to heaven and kind of trying to lead the man back to God. So I think that's pretty straightforward how she's an angel in that one, and kind of just being able to try to guide him and be there for him. And then in Goblin Market, I just think it's interesting how this is a I don't know. I feel like both of these were kind of the first ones we read that dealt a lot with like God, and religion, things like that. And so this one kind of put in the values that a woman should have, you know, chastity and kind of the I don't know the two sidedness. How women are supposed to be chaste and pure and virgins and until they're married, and men, it's not really as big of a priority. So she fell in the sense that she gave into that temptation, and then it was cool that there was kind of that redemption for her. She had a way to kind of redeem herself. So um, anyway, yeah, it's kind of just kind of a unique perspective that we haven't really seen before.
So for me, so from the Goblin market, so these two character, so Laura, the one who ate the fruit, so like she represent like the fallen woman from like eating the fruit. So I was thinking like that it's like Eve, how she ate the fruit and that's how she feel. And then like the other sister plays the role of an angel when she was trying to save her from like dying. So yeah. So she was like an angel to her sister, saving her. Yeah. And then for the blessed, yeah, the other poem, so just like what you were sharing, like the setting, which is like in heaven, so that explains like she's an angel. And it also talks about her meeting the mother of Jesus. So it's, yeah. So, yeah. Do, is Julia with us too tonight?
Julia, you still there?
Because I don't see the video, I just see that.
yeah, she when she does it from her phone, we can't see her face.
Oh, okay.
But we may have lost her audio as well.
Yeah, I can't hear her.
We were all just awkwardly waiting for her to say something.
We can't hear you. I can invite you again. I'll invite her again to see if something happened. But
Okay, should we move on for now and hopefully she comes back and has some profound thoughts for us? All right, next is, are these images good for women?
they're talking about like the images that we just described, right? Not like the images of the paintings
When we play.
Is Julia back? No.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, now we
Oh,
can.
yeah.
Okay. Literally, everyone was like frozen for like a solid like I feel like forever. I was like, what's going on?
Well, and we like kind of finished, and we were waiting for you to chime in, and then we just waited, and then we were like, well, we lost her. Now you're back. So do you want to answer the first? The first question was, how are women both angels and fallen women in these poems?
I think that the poems definitely showed how, like, I don't know, I feel like men are, I don't know, during this time period get away with a lot more. Like, it's more acceptable for them to kind of sleep around, and they definitely are, like, looking for the most beautiful girl or whatever. And in this, it kind of shows how, like, the girl does the same in a way. Like, she falls to that level in a way, or if you know what I'm trying to say, like, I don't know. That's what I got from it.
That's an interesting way to look at it, because it seems like men can kind of do whatever they want in a sense, and women, if they partake of it, then they're, I don't know, deemed unworthy forever. But like you're saying, she kind of was given a second chance, kind of like a man would.
Yeah.
I thought about that.
That's kind of how I viewed it, was almost like she was, yeah, like literally what you just said, like almost she was given the same opportunities as a man would, like with those type of, I guess, failures, mistakes.
Awesome. Cool. Any other thoughts for that first question from anybody?
Nope.
All right. So second one, kind of going with it, in regards to angels being fallen, or women being angels and fallen women, are these images good for women?
I think in a sense, the angel, obviously not the fallen woman, is a pretty good image for women to have if you like relate it to a characteristics of angels, and not like,
Yeah, I agree with that.
because the poem, the lady is just basically sitting there watching.
She's almost like
And,
an
like,
ideal woman. Like, she just like kind of,
she doesn't do much. She just
yeah, and
sits
she's
there
like
and watches.
just like there, like I don't know.
Yeah, she daydreams. But if you like were to think about like an angel is like what Jeff said, is sometimes help people grow nearer to God. And in that sense, it's a positive image that women should strive to be, but not only women, men too. But I think if we look at the angel in that sense, then I think that, yeah, for sure, it's a good image that we should all strive to be like. But as for the fallen woman, I don't think so.
I think it's kind of an interesting perspective that we're taking on it, because this is a church school. I feel like if you looked at it just scholastically, like at any other university, you would probably say, this is, especially because a lot of the poems we've been studying recently are kind of more feminist themes. And so
Yeah, they are.
All right, women should be treated equal as men. They should be able to sleep around as much as they want. I think that aspect of it would be more celebrated, and the fact that the woman should have the same right to sleep around. But because of the law of chastity that we believe in, I think that we tend to focus more on the fact that, yeah, she screwed up and she shouldn't be doing that, but she has a chance to be redeemed. And so I think it's just kind of an interesting dynamic that we have because of where we go to school. And just kind of the fallen angel part of it, and kind of comparing it, like you're saying, to Eve and how she partook of the fruit, and there's lots of comparisons to draw there. So kind of the point I'm getting at, as far as are these images good, I think that they're good for the women in the sense that you can see that, yeah, you can make mistakes, you can screw up, but there's a way back for you. I think that's always a good message. And his expectation,
Yeah,
I feel
totally
like that
agree with that.
I was just saying, the
agree with that.
expectation that women had to be as perfect, beautiful beings which is not always realistic, is kind of been shattered in a sense, and it kind of is a more understanding and realistic way of how we should see women.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you were saying. I feel like it's just a great example, like from a church standpoint, of that, like even when you have made a mistake, that you can like strive to be better or work towards a better version of yourself. And it is interesting to, like, I don't know, I feel like I went to Portland State before I transferred over to BYU, and like all my writing classes were set differently than like how BYU has um like set up their classes. And like I totally see how other universities would think of these poems, and how we think of it, just because of our religious background is different. And it's very interesting, and like, I don't know, just something that's, I feel like, always in the back of our mind.
For sure. Did we lose Ola?
Yeah, I think so, but I just re-invited her.
All right. Well, we can move on. Any other thoughts for
Yeah,
that?
I don't know what's going on. It's been like so stormy today. I'm sorry, like, if my connection's bad, but I feel like I'm at my friend's house at the condo, so hopefully I like can stay online.
It's fine now.
Yeah, besides that freeze part at the beginning, you've been fine.
That sucks. We lost her though, because this is like our first group chat with her, I feel.
I think she'll come. Maybe.
Okay.
All right.
Let's just move on then with the.
Yeah. So next question is, do they restrict women or empower them, and how? I think that this, kind of like going along with what I was saying, kind of empowers women in the sense that you don't have to be that perfect. You know, at the beginning it talked about how she used her hair as, you know, basically money, for lack of a better word. And I don't know, just kind of representing using your beauty, and that being her only asset was her beautiful hair. And so it kind of empowers women because it shows, look, like, even if you don't have your beauty, you still have a chance and you still can do things. And I think we're hopefully, with reading more of these poems, we're moving towards the sense that, you know, women are more than just that beautiful object that sits there next to their husband. So I think it can empower women in that sense. If you focus, I guess, on the negative, then it's not as good. But I don't know, I'm going to try to focus on the positive for this.
I feel like a lot about what we've talked about in this class, like, is like external beauty versus like inner beauty, like how men view beauty, how society views a beautiful woman, how women view other women as beautiful. And like, I don't know, I just feel like it's something that I know that we all do, but it's not necessarily something that I agree with. And I don't know, I feel like these poems show that, like you were saying, like, she's trying to like have her hair like be like the eye catcher or whatever, but it's more about like the inner beauty.
For sure. I kind of thought that these poems are a little restrictive if we're going from like the first part of the first question where it says if these women are represented as like angels or fallen women. And if you're just looking at like the beginning of the fallen woman poem, and even in their society, like they're really confused, like why the poet let them forgive her. And it just was so uncommon for women to have second chances in society, like we were talking about earlier. But I feel like the poems had a lot to do with like women being a certain way. Like in previous poems, how women should look like this or act like this. And I felt like that these poems were like that too at the beginning for the Goblin Market, but not towards the end. Like as the poem progressed, it changed, and that's probably because it was written by a woman. But I just think that they're kind of restricting and not very empowering to me. Um, I don't know, but if you do look at the positives, there's also a flip side to everything. But I just hate it how it's just like women are supposed to be like this. So if you're not like this, then you're fallen and there's no hope for you.
I agree. All right, next question. How do the poems differ in their presentation of the image of these women?
Could you read that again?
Yeah. How do the poems differ in their presentation of the image of these women? I mean, I think that's kind of what we were just talking about with how it shows, I don't know, whether it's kind of focusing on their purity in a sense, you could say. And so the presentation, it's like they're either going to be, I mean, obviously it talks a lot about beauty, and that's always part of the presentation, I feel like, and the image that it's going to touch on. But I think a lot of it here had to do with their morality, their chastity, kind of inside, and how they were. And so I think that had a lot to do with kind of how the women were presented in these poems.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that's something that was different about these poems than like the previous readings that we have been studying. It was more of like almost redemption or something, like how they were as characters, not just like listing the physical attributes or like how they were like seen by society. But like in the same sense, like they still were like supposed to be a certain way. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm good, guys. I thought I read that question wrong. I thought I was supposed to like compare it to the paintings, like the actual images that came with it. So yes, I agree.
Perfect. The next one says, is there any evidence that the brother sees women differently than the sister?
Yeah, I think that so right, the brother wrote one and then the sister wrote the other, right? So I feel like the sister has a way better perspective of women. She believes that women aren't perfect and they're going to make mistakes and they need to be offered redemption like men would. But in the brother's poem, he sees women as like these perfect beings that should remain that way and should be like that and there to help men. And so I feel like they're different. Um, but yep.
I agree. I was kind of thinking the same thing. I don't really have much to expand upon that.
Yeah, I agree as well. I feel like the brother focused way more on like I don't know, in my mind, like the ideal woman, like just someone who just kind of does what they're told or is exactly how the man would want them to be.
Awesome. Well, next question has to do with the illustrations. It says, how do the illustrations in each case add to or change our idea of beauty and of women as we see them in the poem? So I'll read that one more time because it's a long question. How do the illustrations in each case add to or change our idea of beauty and of women as we see them in the poems?
Well, I feel like for the angel one, the image, when you think of like an angel, you think, well, when I think of like an angel, I think of someone that is like perfect and has so many fun things to do and can basically do whatever they want. But in the picture, it just seems like she's so sad and not really doing much with her life in heaven. Like, she is just pining over her lost love, and it's a little depressing because there's like all those lovers in the background and she's just all alone. So
Yeah, it almost seems like she's reflecting on her life and her decisions and she's disappointed. Like, yeah, which is kind of weird. I feel like that the message of the poem is saying, hey, like, you know, you're gonna get a second chance, but then the picture is like,
I totally agree with that.
you're gonna regret it.
When I looked at it, I literally was like, she doesn't look like someone who got a second chance and like really took advantage of it. She looks like someone who like is like sitting in her own like actions and is not really moving forward.
I don't know if maybe I'm like reading into it too much, but you guys notice how she has like a half halo of stars? So there's like stars.
Wait, sorry, a what? A what of a star?
Like a half halo, and there's like stars that go kind of half around her head. And so it's like saying that
Oh my gosh, that's so interesting. It's like it could be that she's
like
complete, but she's not.
she's like somewhat glorified in that sense. I don't know. Maybe it has some other meaning that I don't know.
in the poem, it says that there's like 7 stars in her hair or something like that. So I think those were stars, but I don't know. It could be like her halo. I don't know. But I just
But
thought
it's 10 stars.
so I don't know, I just thought that was like there because she's like in the, I don't know how to describe it, like she's in the universe somewhere and those stars are a part of her and that's how he can see her. I Not making sense. In my mind it makes perfect sense. But the other paintings, the ones with the sister and her hugging, I just think that's like sisterly love. Thought it was real weird that she licked her at the end, but it's fine. And then the other picture with like the men or mice or goblins or whatever. There's like 2 pictures. I don't know. It was like weird website, and I couldn't. The link was just weird for me. But I just kind of um had empathy for her because like those guys look very much into convincing her to fall in a sense. Hola!
Hi, sorry guys.
Hi.
Well, that was the last question. Well, do you have any thoughts you want to add in about the poems?
Okay, sorry guys, I missed a lot of questions, but I left off at number 2. So which question were you guys discussing right now?
We just got done with the last one talking about the illustrations.
The illustration?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah,
There's the paintings that went along with the poems is in a separate link. So we're just talking about how they relate to the poems. So the pictures. Did you see the pictures?
Like how the pictures related to the poems.
Yeah, it's confusing. It's in a separate link than the actual poems itself.
what are you guys?
And you could also talk about the other questions about whether or not these poems restrict women or empower them, and how they differ in their presentation. You could share your thoughts on that as well if you want to.
Okay, I'll start with the how the sister and the brother have different view like in each poem about the women. So the first poem, which was written by the sister, I'm thinking that yeah, the sister view of women that they have like power, like because the ending was like it was a good ending, like the other sister redeemed, like helped the other sister, and while the other poem that was written by the brother, it was not a happy ending. So it was like the one that was written by the brother, it was like it's a sad ending. So it's like that the women, like the what do you call it? The damsel was under control, or like she didn't have a right to make her choice, because in the yeah it talks about how she has to ask, like in her thinking that she was asking Jesus if she can be with her loved one in heaven, but she didn't have that. So it's like that she was restricted, like she didn't have a right. So I'm thinking that they have a different view, like the sisters see women as people that they have power, while the brother, it's different, because I think women does not have that, does not have like freedom or right, like mm. So that's, and the other one, yeah, do they restrict or empower them, and how? Okay, for that one, so from the from the poem of Blessed Damsel, I think that the women is restricted, because it talks about how she was separate from her love, like she was in heaven and her loved one was in the earth. So she couldn't do anything about it. She'll have to get permission from Jesus to live with him in heaven. So yeah, I think the the women is being like restricted. This poem show how the women is being restricted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've all answered all. Any other thoughts that anybody has?
Mm-hmm.
I'm good.
Me too.
No, it's good. It's long readings. Yeah, it's so long. I think our next group chat is next week, Wednesday, when Jessica.
Next week,
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Good week.
Monday or Wednesday. I don't remember. But I think
I
it was
think-
Wednesday.
Yeah, because
Like-
we have a paper to write.
Yeah, I think it was 25th. That's what I saw. But
Okay.
so uh, so we can just meet at the same time. Is 8:30 good for you ladies?
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
fine with me.
Okay.
8:30 is good.
I'll try to send in my notes before.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Right. I'll do tonight's writing.
Okay, I'll send you this video.
Okay, perfect.
And so so Ola, is it okay if you write the next paper next week Wednesday?
Oh, next week, Wednesday?
Yeah.
Or do you want to write tonight? I mean, either way, because have you written any of the grit papers? Because how much do each of us have to write?
She wrote one, and then I wrote two, and I think Jeff wrote two.
Oh, okay.
Sounds right.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
I'll write
can.
one.
If
Yeah.
you guys want to write down the one for tonight.
Okay, I'll write it. I'll write it.
Okay.
And then, so just 8. Oh, Ola, so did you want to meet on, did you say Wednesday, or do you need more time than that to write the paper? Is Wednesday 8:30 good, or Tuesday?
Yeah, Wednesday would be good.
Okay. Okay. See you on Wednesday. Have a good trip, Jeff. Good luck
Bye, you guys.
with
Have a
your
good
baby.
night.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Goodbye, Ola. See you next week. Good luck.
Okay.
Bye.